Welcome you to a deep dive. Today, we're doing something really interesting. We're taking a journey back, way back actually, over a century to 1916. And we're going to unpack a set of principles that, honestly, despite being that old, feel incredibly, maybe even radically relevant today, especially if you're looking to understand and really harness your own potential. Our source material for this is the Master Key System. It's by Charles Haanel. Now, this originally started as a 24-week correspondence course, and it's a text that, well, it doesn't just promise more power, health, and happiness. It suggests a completely different way of getting there.
Yeah, what's genuinely, I think, groundbreaking about it, even looking back now, is the core idea. Haanel argues that the secret to everything, power, achievement, possessions at all, lies within your method of thinking. It just completely flips our usual assumptions about cause and effect, Makes the internal world the starting point for everything, not the external circumstances.
Right. So our mission today, then, is to kind of distill the most powerful ideas, the real nuggets of wisdom, from this pretty expensive material. We want to help you understand how this master key might, well, not just unlock new possibilities in your life, but maybe fundamentally shift how you see where true power actually comes from. So get ready, because this definitely challenges some deeply ingrained beliefs we tend to hold.
Okay, let's start with maybe the most radical concept Haanel throws out there. This idea that your outer world, everything you experience, is simply a reflection of your inner world. That feels backwards to a lot of people, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's counterintuitive for many.
Right.
But Haanel dives right in. He basically says the mind is inherently creative, and every experience you have, good or bad, is a direct result of your habitual mental attitude, your predominant way of thinking. Think about that quote he has. We must be before we can do, and we can do only to the extent of which we are, and what we are depends upon what we think. It puts being first. Wow, yeah, that really lands. And this is where it gets, I think, truly transformative. The system keeps saying, you don't need to get power from somewhere else, you already have it. The real work, Haanel argues, is just understanding it, using it, and crucially controlling it, what's already inside you.
Exactly. He paints this picture of the world within this huge, invisible space of thought, feeling, power. It's mighty, he says, but you can't see it directly. And the really profound part is, he suggests that discovering and mastering this inner world gives you the solution to every problem. It's the cause behind every effect. So if that inner world is ultimately under your control, then all the laws of power, possession, they all stem from that same control. It's an inside-out job.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for you practically if you're listening to this? It means if you can create harmony inside, by consciously directing your thoughts, that harmony has to be reflected outside. And harmonious conditions, leading to, well, optimism, affluence.
Yeah.
He says the best of everything.
And I love how the text puts it. Life is an unfoldment, not accretion.
Unfoldment, not accretion. Explain that a bit.
Well, it means true growth isn't about grabbing more stuff from the outside world like accretion suggests. It's about revealing or unfolding what's already built into you. So what shows up externally, it's just what you've already cultivated internally. It has to come from within first.
Okay, this idea is huge. Inner world shapes the outer. But it makes you wonder, how does this inner world actually work? Like, what are the mechanics? And that's where Haanel brings in the conscious and the subconscious mind, right?
Yeah, he lays out a very clear distinction. You've got the conscious mind, he calls it the objective mind. That's the bit we're aware of using day to day. It works so there are 5 senses. It's where our will resides, our ability to reason, to discriminate between things. And importantly, it can impress ideas onto other minds, especially your own subconscious. It's like the captain of the ship.
The captain, okay. And then there's the subconscious mind, the subjective mind. This is where it gets really fascinating and powerful.
Definitely. Because this is the part, he says, that runs all the automatic stuff in the body, heartbeat, breathing, circulation, without you consciously thinking about it. But it's also the home of our deep-seated feelings, joy, fear, imagination, all those subjective experiences. It's like the engine room, maybe.
Each room, I like that. And you mentioned it operates through the solar plexus.
Yeah, he links it to the solar plexus and the sympathetic nervous system, distinct from the brain-centered conscious mind. But the critical thing, the absolute key about the subconscious is that it's the seat of habit.
Habit.
Whatever we do repeatedly, whether it's a thought pattern or an action, it becomes automatic. It carves these deep grooves, he says, in the subconscious. This means it can be your best friend for building good habits, or it can keep reinforcing really harmful ones. Because it doesn't argue, it just accepts whatever suggestions are impressed upon it.
Okay, that's potentially scary, but also empowering, right?
Yeah.
If it just accepts suggestions.
Exactly. It raises the big question. If this subconscious is so powerful, maybe even connected to some kind of universal intelligence, how do we actually direct it? We don't want it running wild based on random inputs.
Right. How do we take the wheel?
And Haanel gives the answer. He says the conscious mind, acting as the responsible ruler and guardian, can and must direct the subconscious. This coordination, he says, bringing the objective and subjective minds together, getting your individual thought, the finite, to work consciously with the infinite, this larger intelligence. That's the great secret of life.
The great secret of life. Wow.
And he emphasizes strongly that so many problems, fear, worry, poverty, even illness, they often dominate us because our subconscious has just accepted false suggestions. We weren't guarding the gate, so to speak, but a trained conscious mind. It has the power to completely turn those conditions around through strong, consistent, positive counter-suggestions. It's about consciously reprogramming.
Reprogramming.
Okay.
Okay. So digging even deeper now, this connection between our own mind and the universe. Haanel drops another bombshell. All mind is one mind. What does he mean by that?
It's a huge concept, really foundational to his system. Think of it like individual minds are maybe like waves on the surface, but they're all part of the same vast ocean of consciousness, this universal consciousness, this single principle that underlies everything, he says, is everywhere, all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. But here's the interesting part. The universal mind itself is described as static, like potential energy, raw potential. It only becomes active, it only manifests through the individual.
Okay.
And the individual can only manifest through the universal. They're totally interdependent. They are essentially one and the same thing expressing itself differently.
So if it's all one mind, what does that mean for our thoughts, my thoughts, your thoughts?
It means thought is dynamic energy. That's the key phrase. Thought is the vibration, the force that takes that static potential universal mind and makes it active, creates something from it. And here's the real kicker, the aha moment in the system. Every thought is therefore a cause, and every condition an effect.
Every thought a cause, every condition an effect. No exceptions.
According to Haanel, yes. Which is why consciously controlling your thoughts isn't just, a nice self-help idea. It's fundamental. It's absolutely essential if you want to bring forth only desirable conditions into your life. You're literally creating your reality moment by moment with your thoughts.
That clarity then leads straight into something many people have heard of, but maybe Haanel framed differently. The law of attraction.
Exactly. He states it very clearly. Mind is creative, and it will automatically connect with its object, the thing being thought about, and bring it into manifestation. It's a natural law, like gravity. But what's really fascinating, and maybe less talked about, is how Haanel also calls this the law of love.
The law of love. How so?
He says that thought impregnated with love becomes invincible. He sees love, that positive, connecting emotion, as the ultimate creative force behind every manifestation. So it's not just about thinking the thought, it's about the feeling, the love, the desire you infuse it with.
Okay, so it's thought plus feeling, basically. Impregnated with love.
That's the powerhouse combination.
Which means, if this is true, your future isn't just random. It's not dictated by luck or fate or some outside power. Haanel is saying it's entirely within your own conscious control. You just need to learn how to cooperate with this omnipotent law.
Precisely. It puts the responsibility and the power squarely back on the individual.
All right, understanding these principles, the inner world, conscious, subconscious, one mind, law of attraction, it's mind-bending stuff. But knowing it is one thing. How do you actually apply it? That's where the real change happens, right?
Absolutely. And the Master Key system is packed with practical advice. It was a correspondence course after all, full of specific exercises.
Yeah, let's talk about those. He starts with the core of you, the I.
Right. The real you, Haanel argues, is spiritual. It's the consciousness that controls both your body and your mind, and its greatest power, the power to think. But, as he points out, very few people actually know how to think constructively or consciously direct that power. We mostly let it run on autopilot.
Okay. So one of the first big directives is tackling fear. He calls it the archenemy. Why is fear so detrimental in this system?
Because of its physical and mental effect, especially on that subconscious center, the solar plexus. He explains that resistant thoughts of fear, literally cause it to contract. They shut down the flow of energy. Whereas thoughts of courage, power, confidence, they cause it to expand. They open things up. So he says, when fear is destroyed, your inner light, your true potential, can finally shine through unobstructed. It's like removing a blockage.
Removing a blockage. I like that. So we want to consciously create desired conditions. What's the main tool he offers?
The big one is visualization, and this isn't just fuzzy daydreaming. He means making sharp, clear, detailed mental pictures. Holding that distinct image in your mind repeatedly, consistently, until it actually starts to take form in your objective external world.
And he mentions inventors, right? Like Tesla.
Yeah, he points to inventors as prime examples. The key principle, he stresses, is that your job is just to clearly define what you desire. Get that mental blueprint perfect. You're not supposed to figure out how it will come about. He says the finite mind, our limited intellect, can't possibly dictate the methods to the infinite universal mind. You state the what, the universe handles the how.
That requires a lot of trust, doesn't it?
Immense trust. And it's not just about the picture, the what. It's deeply tied to intention and feeling.
Ah, feeling again.
Yes, the text emphasizes it over and over. Feeling gives vitality to thought. He links desire directly to love, that powerful emotion, saying again, thought impregnated with love becomes invincible. That feeling is what makes the connection. It magnetizes the thought.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual exercises. How do they help build this mental muscle?
They're progressive, designed to build control step by step. For instance, he starts with physical control.
Just sitting still.
Exactly. Being perfectly still for, say, 15 to 30 minutes, not fidgeting, not moving. It sounds simple, but it's about proving mastery over physical impulse first. Letting thoughts roam initially, but keeping the body still. Foundation building.
Okay, step one, body control. Then what?
Then thought control. During that stillness, the next step is to deliberately inhibit all thought, to achieve mental quiet. The goal here is to gain real mastery over those pesky thoughts of worry, fear, lack. To be able to consciously quiet the mental chatter, that's a huge step.
Wow, yeah, that sounds challenging.
It is. Then comes mental relaxation. This is about consciously, voluntarily letting go of negative states, hatred, anger, worry, jealousy. You choose to release them through persistent intention. It's an active letting go.
Active letting go, okay, and then visualization.
Then you practice visualization, starting maybe with something simple, like a pleasant place. You build a complete mental picture, sights, sounds, smells, feelings, making it as vivid and real in your mind as possible.
And affirmations. He includes those too, right?
Yes, using affirmations like, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. The idea isn't just positive thinking, it's aligning yourself with what he considers universal truth. These affirmations are meant to consciously overwrite and destroy negative, limiting thought patterns.
Aligning with truth.
And finally, he has exercises focusing on concentrating on abstract, high-level concepts like harmony, insight, unity with omnipotence. This lifts your thought process beyond just material desires. But Haanel gives a serious warning. Many people fail, he says, because they inadvertently concentrate on what they don't want, lack, disease, potential disaster. And by the law, they attract those very things.
Right, you get what you focus on, whether you want it or not.
Precisely. He uses a great analogy. It's like planting a seed, then constantly digging it up to check if it's growing. You kill it. You have to plant the seed, nurture it with the right thoughts and feelings, and then leave it undisturbed to manifest. Trust the process.
So, bottom line for daily practice, if you want good things, you have to consistently think good thoughts. It's an ongoing discipline.
It's a continuous, conscious alignment of your inner world. That's the essence of it.
Now, there's another piece that seems really crucial for attracting positive outcomes, especially abundance. And it might surprise some people. It's the concept of service.
Yes, it's fundamental in Haanel's system. He calls it the first law of success, service. Plain and simple, he explains it quite pragmatically. You make money by making friends. And how do you make friends? By making money for them, by being genuinely useful and of service to them.
So it's not about taking, it's about giving value first.
Exactly. He explicitly states, we get only what we give. And if you try to get without giving, the law of compensation will inevitably balance things out. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. It's like a universal accounting system.
That really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from just trying to accumulate stuff, towards actively creating value for others.
It does. And he talks about money consciousness not as greed, but as an attitude of mind. A receptive attitude that lets you draw on the infinite supply because you're acting as a channel for value, for service.
Be a conduit.
And there's another fascinating point he makes about wealth. He warns that premature wealth you haven't truly earned or don't have the character to handle, is but the forerunner of humiliation and disaster.
Wow. So you can't permanently keep what you haven't earned through merit or service.
That's his argument. True, lasting wealth comes from within, from the ability to produce, the capacity to create value. That's the real source, not just the money itself. The money is the effect, the ability is the cause.
So it's less about chasing the symbols, money, fame, whatever, and more about understanding and cultivating the actual source of power within you.
Precisely. And this is where he brings in spirituality, but in a very grounded way. He says spirituality is quite practical, very practical, intensely practical.
That's not usually how people think of spirituality.
Right. But he explains, it teaches that spirit is the real thing, the whole thing, and that matter is but plastic stuff which spirit is able to create, mold, manipulate, and fashion to its will. It connects the highest principles to tangible results.
Spirit is the ultimate practical force.
Mm.
Okay. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, it really feels like the core message is about immutable laws, things that work whether you believe in them or not.
Absolutely. Haanel really hammers this home. Knowledge is of priceless value, he says, because if you understand these laws and apply them, you can literally shape your future into what you wish it to be. He's very clear. Your current situation, character, environment, abilities, even your physical health, it's all the result of your past thinking patterns. The law works with immutable precision. It just responds to your thought, consciously directed or not.
Which makes conscious direction so vital. And because of that precision, he stresses vigilance, doesn't he?
Eternal vigilance is the price of success. That's the quote. You have to keep monitoring your thoughts. And he outlines 3 essential steps for success with this system.
Okay, what are they?
First, the knowledge of your power. You have to actually know and believe this inner power exists. Second, the courage to dare. You need the guts to step out, apply it, and challenge old limitations. And third, the faith to do. You have to act as if it's already working, hold the vision, and persist.
Knowledge, courage, faith. That's a powerful trio.
And he makes such a strong case for rigorous thinking. He says the power to think consecutively and deeply and clearly is an avowed and deadly enemy to mistakes and blunders, superstitions, unscientific theories, irrational beliefs. It's about mental discipline being the antidote to error.
So it's not just positive thinking, it's clear, deep, constructive thinking.
Exactly. He kind of laments that the potential of thought training is infinite, the consequences eternal, yet so few people actually take the time and effort to consciously direct their thinking into beneficial channels. Most just leave it all to chance, reacting to circumstances.
Yeah. And it really boils down to that core idea again. By holding the perfect ideal in mind, you can bring about ideal conditions in your environment.
That's the promise, training your mind to see and hold the truth, the ideal. And because truth, in his view, represents the highest vibration, it naturally dissolves and destroys error, limitation, negativity.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into the master key system has been, well, genuinely an eye-opener. It really drives home how profoundly our inner world, our thoughts and feelings, shape everything outside us.
Yeah, the core message is just undeniable in his writing. All power, the real creative force, comes from within, period. And your ability to think, it's not just for solving math problems, it's your direct line to acting upon the universal mind, the infinite potential, and bringing your deepest desires into actual tangible form. And he insists this isn't magic or wishful thinking, it's a scientific process based on definite laws.
So it's really an invitation, isn't it, to step up and enter into a conscious, deliberate relationship with the creative power of your own thoughts. It's urging all of us to think bigger, to consciously cultivate harmony within, and to actually do the work, applying these principles relentlessly through those mental exercises we talked about.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something that really sums up this self-reliance and self-mastery Haanel is pushing for. He says, the wealthy man may pay others for doing his work for him, but it is impossible to get his thinking done for him by another, or to purchase any kind of self-culture. You can't outsource this inner work.
You can't outsource your thinking. That's powerful. So the question for you, after hearing all this from our deep dive today, is what kind of thoughts will you choose to cultivate? Knowing now, perhaps more clearly, that the power is truly, unequivocally yours. Until next time, keep exploring that incredible world within.